We scroll endlessly. Notifications dictate our rhythm. We consume more in a day than medieval people processed in a lifetime. Yet despite all our tools, comforts, and technologies, we are exhausted, distracted, and anxious. The paradox of the digital age is this: the more advanced we become, the less resilient we often feel. But ancient minds, warriors, monks, travelers, and villagers, faced a world far harsher than ours. They lived without our luxuries, yet survived storms, scarcity, and uncertainty with strength and clarity. Their survival wasn't built on gadgets, it was built on timeless disciplines. In this video, we'll uncover the ancient survival skills that can guide us through today's chaos. Because surviving the digital age isn't about faster Wi-Fi or smarter apps. It's about reclaiming the wisdom that allowed human beings to thrive long before the first screen ever lit up. In medieval monasteries, silence was not an empty void. It was a deliberate discipline, a weapon sharper than any blade. When monks entered hours of silence, they weren't simply refraining from speaking. They were training the mind to dwell in stillness, to find clarity beyond words. In those cloisters, silence became the forge of wisdom. The absence of noise allowed ideas to settle, memories to take root, and attention to sharpen like a spear. Today, silence has become nearly extinct. We are surrounded by sound and stimulation. The hum of traffic, the ping of messages, the endless loop of videos and feeds. Even when alone, we flood the room with music or podcasts, as if we fear being left alone with our own thoughts. But the very skill that enabled monks to endure centuries of turmoil is still available to us. Imagine starting your day not with a glowing screen, but with 5 minutes of absolute quiet. No music, no notifications, no scrolling, just silence. The nervous system, always overstimulated in the digital age, begins to slow. The mind, fractured across tasks and distractions, begins to unify. Modern neuroscience confirms what ancient monks already knew. Silence improves memory, regulates stress, and builds attention. In a world addicted to noise, silence is rebellion. And in a digital battlefield, silence becomes survival. Ancient life was not random, it was structured by cycles. The rising sun told farmers when to begin their labor, the seasons dictated planting and harvest, and bells marked the hours of prayer. These external rhythms created internal order. People did not wake up wondering what to do. Life had a framework, and within that framework, resilience grew. Rituals served as anchors in turbulent times. A farmer sharpening tools before dawn, a soldier reciting prayers before battle, a monk lighting candles in the scriptorium. These were not empty gestures. They were daily affirmations of meaning and control. The act of repeating the same ritual built familiarity and steadiness, even when the outside world was unstable. Contrast this with our current lives. Digital devices disrupt natural rhythm at every turn. We eat at irregular hours, sleep inconsistently, and scatter our energy across fragmented activities. Instead of seasonal cycles, we live by the rhythm of notifications. The result is a mind that feels constantly unsettled. Reviving the ancient skill of rhythm doesn't require living like a monk. It requires reclaiming control of our time. A simple morning ritual, stretching, reading, writing, or mindful breathing, signals to the brain that the day has begun with purpose. An evening ritual, closing the laptop, dimming the lights, reflecting, teaches the mind to rest. These small, repetitive acts create mental scaffolding that protects against chaos. Ritual is not superstition. Ritual is survival. And the ancients knew that without rhythm, the mind quickly unravels. For the hunter in the ancient forest, attention was not optional. It was the difference between returning home with food or becoming food. Every sound, every shift in the wind, every footprint mattered. The hunter could not afford to be distracted. Focus was not a luxury, it was survival. Craftsmen in medieval guilds trained this same discipline. To carve a piece of wood or forge a blade required full concentration. A single mistake could ruin hours of labor. Apprentices were taught that mastery was not simply about skill, it was about sustained attention. To hold the mind steady on one task until it is complete is a form of strength that few cultivate today. Now, contrast this with our fragmented reality. Studies show that the average person checks their phone dozens, sometimes hundreds, of times a day. Each notification pulls attention away from the present task. And unlike the hunter or craftsman, we rarely return with focus intact. We've become accustomed to scattering ourselves across dozens of tabs, conversations, and feeds. But the ancient art of attention remains within reach. The simplest way to practice is to commit fully to one act at a time. Eat without scrolling. Read without checking. Work without shifting windows every 2 minutes. At first, the silence of focus may feel uncomfortable, but slowly the brain adapts and the mind sharpens. Attention is the foundation of creativity, problem-solving, and resilience. It is the ancient compass that still guides us through disorientation. To lose it is to wander blind. To train it is to reclaim power. The ancients faced trials that make our inconveniences look trivial. Long winters without certainty of food. Invasions that destroyed homes. Diseases that had no cure. Yet humanity endured. How? Through adaptability. Through training body and mind not to collapse at the first sign of hardship. A medieval soldier learned to march in heavy armor for hours. A traveler braving the desert carried only what was essential. A villager knew how to repair, reuse, and improvise with what little they had. Comfort was rare. Resilience was common. Now, look at us. The modern digital storm is not one of physical scarcity, but of mental excess. We are buried not under snow or hunger, but under endless information, infinite choice, and relentless demands. Instead of famine, we face overload. Instead of silence, we face noise. And strangely, both can break the human spirit in similar ways. To endure the digital age, we must cultivate adaptability in the same way our ancestors did. That might mean learning to detach from constant connectivity, to accept boredom as training for patience, to focus on essentials rather than drowning in abundance. It means training the mind to hold steady when stimulation is overwhelming, just as ancient travelers trained the body to withstand the wilderness. True endurance is not about never feeling discomfort, it's about building the strength to remain steady inside it. The ancients built that strength out of necessity. We must build it by choice. No one in the ancient world survived alone. A single villager could not withstand a raid. A lone traveler was easy prey for bandits. Isolation meant weakness. But within a guild, a monastery, or a village, individuals became stronger than their circumstances. Communities pooled knowledge, shared resources, and protected one another. Survival was collective. The same principle applies today, though our illusion of digital connection has clouded it. We can message hundreds of people instantly, yet loneliness is epidemic. We mistake likes for loyalty and followers for fellowship. But when crisis hits, we don't need an audience. We need allies. Ancient brotherhoods remind us that depth matters more than breadth. A handful of strong, genuine connections sustains us more than thousands of shallow ones. The shared labor of a guild, the prayers of a monastic order, the bonds of a warrior band, all these were ancient versions of what we desperately lack today: true community. Reclaiming this survival skill in the digital age means choosing to build depth over distraction. It means investing in a few relationships that nourish rather than dozens that drain. It means treating community not as entertainment, but as a lifeline. Because no matter how advanced we become, one truth remains: no human survives alone. We often think progress means leaving the past behind. Yet the farther we sprint into the digital future, the more we find ourselves unsteady, restless, and searching for ground. The irony is that stability has never been about speed or about the latest invention. It has always been about fundamentals. The ancients survived not because the world was kind to them, but because they cultivated inner tools that no hardship could strip away. Their strength came from patience, from the discipline of rhythm, from the courage to focus, from the willingness to endure, and from the bond of community. These qualities are not outdated. They are human. The digital age does not require us to copy the past, but to rediscover the timeless essence within it. The monastery, the village, the battlefield, all were training grounds for resilience. Today, our battlegrounds look different, but the call is the same. Find steadiness within noise. Find meaning within abundance. Find presence within distraction. Technology will keep evolving. The question is whether we will evolve with it blindly or rise above it wisely. The ancients left us a map, not of tools, but of mindsets. And if we choose to follow it, we don't just survive the digital age. We create a future where wisdom and progress can finally walk together.